Wu walked through the lower docking area of Station 12 with his toolbox in his hand. This part of the station was old and dirty. The lights above him made a buzzing sound, and some of them did not work at all. Most travelers stayed away from this area. Only the poor and the desperate came here. He was a human mechanic. He fixed ships for money. It was not a great job, but it kept him alive. Humans were still new to the galaxy. Most alien species did not trust them. They thought humans were weak and simple. Wu did not care what they thought. He just wanted to do his work and save enough money to buy his own ship someday. The station was quiet tonight. Wu had finished his last job 2 hours ago. He was walking back to his small room when he heard something strange. It was a sound he knew very well. It was the sound of a ship engine that was dying. He stopped and listened. The sound came from Docking Bay 9. That bay had been empty for weeks. No one wanted to use it because the power systems there were old and unreliable. Wu thought about going back to his room. It was not his problem. But then he heard another sound. It was the sound of crying, not adult crying. It was the crying of children. He changed direction and walked toward Bay 9. The ship inside the bay was a small transport vessel. It was very old, maybe 50 years or more. The paint on its body was faded and scratched. One of its landing supports was bent, so the whole ship sat at a strange angle. Smoke came from a vent on its side. Wu had seen many broken ships in his life. This one was in very bad condition. He was surprised it could fly at all. The crying sound came from inside the ship. The main door was open, but the ramp was stuck halfway down. Wu climbed up the broken ramp and stepped inside. The inside of the ship was dark. The emergency lights gave a weak red glow. The air was cold and smelled like burned metal. The life support system was failing. Wu could tell immediately that this ship had maybe 6 or 7 hours before the air would become too thin to breathe. He followed the crying sound to the back of the ship. In a small sleeping room he found them. 2 little girls sat on the floor beside a bed. They had pale blue skin and silver hair. Their eyes were large and violet-colored. They were children. They looked like they were about 10 years old in human terms. On the bed lay an old woman. Her skin was darker blue, almost gray. Her breathing was slow and difficult. Wu could see that she was very sick. This was not just a cold or a fever. This was something much worse. The 2 girls looked up at Wu with fear in their eyes. They held each other tightly. "Please do not hurt us," one of them said. Her voice was shaking. Wu put down his toolbox slowly. He held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "I am not going to hurt you," he said. "I heard your ship. I came to help." The girls looked at each other. They seemed confused. "Help," the other girl said. "Why would you help us? You are a human." Wu did not know how to answer that question. He looked at the old woman on the bed. Her eyes were closed, but her lips were moving slightly. She was trying to speak. "Is this your grandmother?" Wu asked. The first girl nodded. "She is Captain. She is our only family. She is very sick. We tried to find a doctor, but no one would help us. We have no money." "The ship is broken too," the second girl added. "The engine stopped working 3 days ago. We barely made it to this station. We asked many mechanics for help, but they all said no when they saw we could not pay." Wu felt something twist in his chest. It was anger. He knew how cruel this galaxy could be. He had experienced that cruelty himself when he first left Earth. But seeing these 2 little girls crying beside their dying grandmother made him feel a different kind of anger. It was the kind of anger that made him want to do something. "What are your names?" he asked gently. "I am," said the first girl. "This is my twin sister, Sola." "I am Wu," he said. "I am a mechanic. I am going to fix your ship." Shook her head quickly. "We cannot pay you. Grandmother spent all our money on medicine. It did not work. We have nothing left." "I did not ask for money," Wu said. The twins stared at him. They did not understand. But everyone asks for money," Sola said. "That is how things work. Help requires payment, that is the rule. Wu picked up his toolbox. Where I come from, we have a different rule. When someone needs help, you help them. That is it. No payment needed. He walked out of the sleeping room and went to find the engine compartment. Behind him, he could hear and Sola whispering to each other. They were trying to understand what kind of strange creature this human was. The engine compartment was a mess. Wu spent 10 minutes just looking at the damage. The main power converter was completely burned out. The fuel lines had cracks in 3 different places. The cooling system had stopped working days ago, which explained why the engine had died. On a normal day, a repair like this would cost thousands of credits. The parts alone would be expensive. Most mechanics would take one look at this engine and tell the owner to buy a new ship. But Wu was not most mechanics. He had learned to fix things with almost nothing. When you were a human in this galaxy, you could not always afford the best parts. You learned to make things work with whatever you had. He opened his toolbox and got to work. Hours passed. Wu did not stop. He replaced the power converter with a used one he had saved from another job. He fixed the fuel lines with a special tape that could hold for years. He rebuilt the cooling system piece by piece. While he worked, the twin girls watched him from the doorway. They did not speak. They just watched with their big violet eyes. Sometimes one of them would go back to check on their grandmother. Then she would return and continue watching. Around midnight, brought him a cup of water. Her hands were shaking when she gave it to him. "Thank you," Wu said. He drank the water in 3 big gulps. He had not realized how thirsty he was. "Why are you doing this?" asked. "You do not know us, we are not even the same species. Why do you care?" Wu put down the cup. He looked at the little girl standing in front of him. She was so young, but her eyes were full of worry and fear. She had probably been taking care of her sister and grandmother for a long time. She had probably grown up too fast. "Because it is the right thing to do," he said simply. "Your grandmother is sick. Your ship is broken. You are scared and alone. I can help, so I will help. It is not complicated." Did not say anything. A single tear rolled down her blue cheek. Then she turned and walked back to her sister. Wu returned to his work. By morning, he would have this ship running again. It was not much, but it was something. In a galaxy full of coldness, sometimes a small act of kindness was the most powerful thing in the world. The station lights changed from red to yellow. That meant morning had arrived. Wu had been working for almost 8 hours without stopping. His back hurt. His fingers were covered in engine grease. His eyes were tired and dry. But he did not stop. The ship's engine was almost fixed. He had replaced every broken part he could find. The power converter was working again. The fuel lines were sealed. The cooling system was running properly for the first time in probably years. Now he was working on the life support system. This was the most important part. Without good air, nothing else mattered. Behind him, he heard small footsteps. He turned and saw Sola standing there. She was holding something in her hands. It was a small blanket. "Said you might be cold," Sola said quietly. "The ship gets cold at night." Wu smiled. "Thank you, that is very kind." Sola walked closer and put the blanket near his toolbox. She did not leave. Instead, she sat down on an old box and watched him work. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course. Are all humans like you?" Wu thought about the question. He had known many humans in his life. Some were kind, some were cruel, some were brave, some were cowards. Humans were just like any other species. They had good people and bad people. "No," he said honestly. "Humans are all different. Some are good. Some are not so good, just like every other species in the galaxy." Sola nodded slowly. The other aliens on this station said humans are dangerous. They said humans cannot be trusted. They said humans only care about themselves. "Some people say many things," Wu replied. "But words are just words. Actions are what matter. You should judge people by what they do, not by what others say about them. Sola seemed to think about this for a long time. Then she said, "You are the first human I have ever met. I think you are nice." Those simple words made Wu feel warm inside. He had been called many things in his life: weak, stupid, worthless, a dirty human. Hearing a child call him nice felt better than any praise he had ever received. "Thank you, Sola," he said. "I think you are nice too." A few hours later, Wu finished his work. He pressed the power button on the main console. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights came on. The air vents started to blow. The engine made a soft humming sound. The ship was alive again. Came running from the sleeping room. Her eyes were wide with surprise. "You fixed it," she said. "You really fixed it." "I told you I would," Wu said. He wiped the grease from his hands with an old cloth. "The engine should work fine now. The life support is stable. You have enough air for many weeks." Looked like she wanted to cry, but she held back her tears. She was trying to be strong. "I do not know how to thank you," she said. "No one has ever helped us like this, not even other." Wu stood up and stretched his sore muscles. "You can thank me by taking care of your sister and grandmother. That is all I need." He was about to leave when his stomach made a loud noise. He had not eaten anything since yesterday afternoon. He had been so focused on fixing the ship that he forgot about food. Sola giggled. It was the first time Wu had heard her laugh. The sound was light and sweet like small bells. "Are you hungry?" Sola asked. "A little bit," Wu admitted. And Sola looked at each other. They seemed to have a silent conversation with just their eyes, then walked to a small storage area and came back with a container. "We do not have much," said, "but please eat with us. It is the least we can do." Wu wanted to say no. These girls had almost nothing. He did not want to take their food, but he could see in their eyes that this was important to them. They wanted to give something back. Refusing would hurt their feelings. "Okay," he said, "thank you." They sat together in the small common area of the ship, opened the container. Inside was some kind of dried fruit and a few pieces of bread. It was not much, but it was food. They ate together in silence at first. Then Sola asked Wu to tell them about Earth. He told them about the blue oceans and the green forests. He told them about the mountains covered in snow and the deserts filled with sand. He told them about the cities with tall buildings and the small villages in the countryside. The twins listened with wonder in their eyes. They had never seen a planet like Earth. There was mostly ice and rock. The idea of so much water and so many plants was amazing to them. "It sounds beautiful," said softly. "It is," Wu agreed. "But every planet has its own beauty. I am sure yours is beautiful too." Looked down at her hands. "We have not been to our in many years. Grandmother left when we were very young. She said it was not safe for us there. She never told us why." Wu did not ask more questions. Some things were private. If the girls wanted to tell him more, they would do it when they were ready. After they finished eating, Sola asked Wu to tell them a story. He did not know many stories, but he remembered one his mother used to tell him when he was a child. It was a story about a brave little fish who swam across the entire ocean to find his family. The twins loved the story. When it was over, Sola asked him to tell another one. So he did. He told them about a rabbit who raced a turtle. He told them about a boy who cried wolf too many times. He told them about a princess who rescued herself from a tower. By the time he finished the fourth story, both girls were fighting to keep their eyes open. They had not slept properly in days. The stress and worry had kept them awake. "You should rest," Wu said gently. "The ship is fixed. You are safe now." Nodded sleepily, but before she went to lie down, she walked over to Wu and did something unexpected. She hugged him. It was a small hug, quick and a little bit awkward, but Wu felt his heart squeeze tightly in his chest. He could not remember the last time someone had hugged him. "Thank you," whispered, "for everything." Then she took Sola's hand, and the two sisters walked to their sleeping room. Wu sat alone in the common area for a while. He looked around at the old ship. It was small and broken and poor, but it was a home. It was the only home these girls had. He should leave now. His work was done. He had fixed the ship and shared a meal and told some stories. There was nothing more he could do here. These were not his children. This was not his family. He had his own life to worry about. But something kept him in his seat. He could not explain it. It was a feeling in his chest. A feeling that something was not finished. A feeling that these girls needed more than just a repaired ship. He looked toward the sleeping room where Captain lay dying. The old woman had not woken up even once while he was working. Her condition was getting worse. He could see it in the way checked on her every hour. He could see it in the way Sola tried so hard not to cry. These girls were about to lose the only family they had. And when that happened, they would be completely alone. Wu closed his eyes and let out a long breath. He told himself that it was not his problem. He told himself that he could not save everyone. He told himself that he barely had enough money to survive himself. But when he opened his eyes, he did not leave. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and decided to stay a little longer, just in case the girls needed him, just in case something happened. Outside the ship, the station continued its endless routine. People came and went. Ships arrived and departed. No one knew about the small ship in Bay 9. No one knew about the two little girls inside. No one knew about the human mechanic who had decided to stay. But that was okay. Some of the most important moments in the universe happen without anyone watching. Some of the most powerful actions are the quiet ones. And sometimes, the decision to simply stay is the bravest thing a person can do. Wu woke up to the sound of coughing. It was a terrible sound, deep and wet and painful. He jumped up from the chair where he had fallen asleep and ran toward the sleeping room. Captain was awake. Her eyes were open for the first time since Wu had arrived, but those eyes were clouded and tired. Her blue skin had turned almost completely gray. Her breathing was fast and shallow. Stood beside the bed, holding her grandmother's hand. Tears were streaming down her face. Sola was on the other side, pressing a wet cloth to the old woman's forehead. "Grandmother, please," begged. "Please do not leave us." Turned her head slowly. Her eyes found Wu standing in the doorway. For a long moment she just looked at him. Then she spoke. "You are the human." Her voice was weak, barely more than a whisper. "You fixed our ship." Wu nodded. "Yes, my name is Wu." "Come here," said, "please." He walked to the bed and knelt down beside it. Up close, he could see how sick she truly was. This was not something that medicine could fix. Her body was shutting down. She had days left, maybe less. "The girls told me what you did," said. "You worked all night, you asked for nothing in return. Why?" "Because they needed help," Wu answered simply. Smiled. It was a sad smile, full of pain and regret. "I have traveled this galaxy for 60 years. I have met thousands of beings from hundreds of species. Do you know how many would help a stranger for free?" Wu did not answer. "Almost none," continued. "This universe is cold and cruel. Everyone wants something. Everyone has a price, but not you. You are different." She started coughing again. The sound was terrible, held her hand, and Sola began to cry silently. When the coughing stopped, looked at the twins. Her eyes were filled with love and sadness. "My beautiful girls," she said, "I am so sorry. I wanted to give you a better life. I wanted to take you somewhere safe, but my body has failed me." "Do not say that," said. "You will get better. You have to get better." Shook her head slowly. "We both know that is not true, my child. I am dying. I have known it for a long time. I just wanted to hold on a little longer. I wanted to find someone to take care of you." She turned her eyes back to Wu. There was something in her gaze now, something desperate and hopeful at the same time. "Girls," said softly, "please go to the other room. I need to speak with Wu alone." started to protest, but grandmother, please, said, just for a few minutes, I promise I will call you back soon. The twins did not want to leave, but they could not refuse their grandmother's request. They walked out of the room slowly, looking back over their shoulders. When they were gone, reached out and grabbed Wu's hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. I do not have much time, she said, so I will be direct. I need to ask you something important. What is it? Wu asked. Those girls are everything to me, said. Their mother, my daughter, died when they were babies. Their father abandoned them. I am all they have ever known. When I die, they will have no one. Wu felt a heavy weight settling in his chest. He could already guess where this conversation was going. I have tried to find them a home, continued. I have contacted every family member, every friend, every connection I have. No one will take them. Some are too poor. Some are too busy. Some simply do not want the burden of raising 2 children. Her eyes filled with tears. For 5 years I have searched for someone to take care of For 5 years I have failed, and now my time is running out. She squeezed Wu's hand harder. I know I have no right to ask you this. We are strangers. We are different species. You have your own life, your own problems. But I am a dying old woman with nowhere else to turn. What are you asking me? Wu said, even though he already knew. Take them, whispered. Please take my girls somewhere safe. Find them a good home. Or if you are willing, give them a home yourself. Wu was silent. His mind was racing with 1,000 thoughts. He was just a mechanic. He barely made enough money to feed himself. He lived in a tiny room on a rundown station. What did he know about raising children? What did he know about being a father? I know it is too much to ask, said. I know you probably think I am crazy, but I have seen the way you look at them. I have seen the kindness in your eyes. You are a good person, Wu. The best person I have met in a very long time. She coughed again, weaker this time. Her energy was fading. You do not have to answer now, she said. Just think about it. And whatever you decide, please do not let them be separated. They need each other. Promise me that at least. Promise me you will not let anyone separate them. Wu looked at this dying grandmother. He saw her fear and her love and her desperation. He saw a woman who had spent her last years trying to protect her family. He saw a woman who was terrified of what would happen after she was gone. He thought about his own mother. She had died when he was 15. Cancer. She had spent her last months worrying about him, just like was worrying about the twins. She had begged relatives to take him in. Most of them had said no. After she died, Wu had ended up alone. He had survived, but it had been hard. So hard. He had felt lost and scared for years. He did not want Sola to feel that way. I promise, Wu said, I will not let anyone separate them. Let out a breath of relief, but there was still a question in her eyes, the bigger question, the one she was afraid to ask again. Wu made his decision. It was probably the most foolish decision of his life, but it was also the most important one. I will take care of them, he said. I do not know how. I do not know if I will be any good at it, but I will try. I will protect them. I will give them a home. Began to cry. These were not sad tears. They were tears of gratitude and relief. She brought Wu's hand to her cheek and held it there. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. You have given me peace. For the first time in years, I can rest knowing my girls will be safe. She called for the twins, and they came running back into the room, pulled them close, one on each side of the bed. She kissed their foreheads and told them how much she loved them. Wu is going to take care of you, she said. After I am gone, he will be your family. He will protect you and love you. Do you understand? The twins looked at Wu with wide eyes. There was confusion there, but also hope. Really, Sola asked him, you will stay with us? Wu knelt down so he was at their eye level. Yes, he said, I will stay, as long as you want me to. Threw her arms around his neck. Sola joined her a second later. The two little girls held onto him tightly, as if they were afraid he would disappear. Behind them, Captain watched with tears streaming down her gray face. She had spent so long searching for someone to trust with her precious. She had almost given up hope. And then a human mechanic had walked onto her ship. Sometimes the universe sends help from the most unexpected places. Sometimes the answer to your prayers looks nothing like what you imagined. And sometimes a stranger becomes family in the span of a single night. Captain passed away 2 days later. She went quietly in her sleep with her granddaughters holding her hands. The fear that had lived in her eyes for so long was finally gone. She looked peaceful. Wu had stayed on the ship the entire time. He slept in the common area. He cooked meals for the girls with the little food they had left. He told them more stories and answered their questions about humans and Earth. He did everything he could to make their last days with their grandmother as comfortable as possible. When stopped breathing and Sola did not scream or cry loudly, they simply sat there, still holding her hands, tears falling silently down their blue cheeks. They had known this moment was coming. They had prepared themselves as much as two young girls could. But preparation does not stop grief. Wu sat with them in silence. He did not try to speak. He did not try to comfort them with empty words. He just sat there, letting them know they were not alone. After an hour, Sola finally spoke. "What happens now?" It was a simple question, but it carried so much weight. What happens now? What happens when your whole world ends? What happens when the person who raised you is gone forever? "Now we take care of your grandmother's body," Wu said gently. "We give her a proper farewell, and then we figure out the rest together." Tradition required that the dead be returned to the stars. Wu helped the girls prepare their grandmother's body. They wrapped her in a white cloth and said prayers in the language. Then they carried her to the airlock. Press the button to open the outer door. Captain's body drifted out into the blackness of space. The stars surrounded her, welcoming her home. "Goodbye, grandmother," whispered. "Thank you for everything." "We love you," Sola added. "We will never forget you." They stood at the viewport and watched until the white cloth disappeared into the darkness. Then they turned to Wu, looking lost and scared. "What do we do now?" asked. "First, we need to get some supplies," Wu said. "Food and water. Then we need to decide where to go." He took them into the station. It was the first time the girls had left the ship in weeks. They stayed close to Wu, holding his hands tightly. The station was busy and loud, full of aliens of all different species. Some of them stared at the strange sight of a human walking with two children. Others did not seem to care. Wu used his savings to buy food, water, and some basic supplies. It was not much, but it would keep them going for a while. He would need to find more work soon. He would need to figure out how to support two children on a mechanic's salary. But those were problems for later. Right now, he just needed to get the girls back to the ship safely. They were almost at docking bay 9 when someone blocked their path. It was a tall alien with gray skin and 4 eyes. He wore the uniform of station security. "Are you the human called Wu?" the alien asked. Wu felt the twins grip his hands. "Yes, what do you want?" "There has been a report that 2 minor children are on this station without legal guardians. Is this true?" Wu's heart started beating faster. "I am their guardian. Their grandmother asked me to take care of them before she died." The security officer looked down at the twins with cold eyes. "Do you have legal documentation, adoption papers, custody records?" "Not yet," Wu admitted. "She only passed away today. There was no time." "Then you are not their legal guardian," the officer interrupted. "According to station law, unaccompanied minor children must be transferred to the custody of child services." "No," Sola cried out. She pressed herself against Wu's leg. "We want to stay with Wu. He is our family now." The security officer ignored her. "Child services will process them and find appropriate placement. They may be separated based on availability. Separated, voice cracked. You cannot separate us. We are twins. We are sisters. Wu stepped forward, putting himself between the officer and the girls. They are not going anywhere. Their grandmother gave me guardianship. I made her a promise. A verbal promise has no legal standing, the officer said flatly. Please do not make this difficult, human. I am just doing my job. 2 more security officers appeared behind the first one. They were ready for trouble. Wu's mind raced. He could not fight 3 armed security officers. He would lose, and then the girls would be taken anyway. He needed to think of something else. Wait, he said. Is there a legal process I can follow, a way to get official guardianship? The first officer paused. There is a custody hearing process, but you would need to prove you can provide for the children. You would need a stable home, a steady income, references from respected community members. How long would that take? Several weeks at minimum. During that time, the children would remain in the custody of child services. And they would be kept together. The officer's silence was answer enough. Wu thought quickly. He had almost no money. He had no stable home. He had no references from anyone respected. His chances of winning a custody hearing were almost 0. But there was one thing he could do. I demand a temporary custody exemption, he said, under Galactic Law Section 47, Paragraph 12. The security officers looked confused. Even the twins looked up at him with surprise. The first officer frowned. I am not familiar with that law. It allows for temporary custody to be granted to any individual who has provided essential care for the children during a medical emergency, Wu explained. I repaired their ship's life support system. Without me, they would have died. That qualifies as essential care. He was not entirely sure about the law. He had read about it years ago in a legal document he found while fixing a lawyer's ship. He hoped it was real. He hoped he was remembering it correctly. The first officer touched a device on his wrist and spoke quietly into it. He was checking the law. A long minute passed. The twins held their breath. Wu's heart pounded in his chest. Finally, the officer looked up. His 4 eyes showed surprise. The law exists, he said slowly. It grants temporary custody for 30 days while permanent arrangements are made. During this time, the children cannot be separated from their temporary guardian without a court order. Wu let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Then I am invoking that law. These children are under my temporary custody. You cannot take them. The security officers looked at each other. They clearly did not like this outcome, but they could not argue with the law. Very well, the first officer said. You have 30 days. After that, you must either have permanent custody papers or the children will be transferred to child services. He turned and walked away. The other officers followed. When they were gone, Wu's legs felt weak. He had to lean against the wall to keep from falling. You saved us, said. Her voice was full of wonder. How did you know about that law? I read a lot, Wu said with a tired smile. When you are a human in this galaxy, you learn to know the rules. It is the only way to survive. Sola hugged his leg tightly. Thank you, Wu. Thank you for not letting them take us away. I made a promise to your grandmother, he said. I intend to keep it. He took their hands and led them back to the ship. They had 30 days. 30 days to figure out how to become a real family. 30 days to prove that a human mechanic could be a father to 2 alien girls. It was not going to be easy. Nothing in Wu's life had ever been easy. But as he looked down at the 2 little girls holding his hands, he knew it would be worth it. He would find a way. He always found a way. That was what humans did. The next 29 days were the busiest of Wu's life. He worked every job he could find on the station. He fixed engines, repaired cooling systems, replaced broken panels, and cleaned fuel tanks. He worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. When he was not working, he was filling out paperwork. The adoption process required hundreds of documents. He needed to prove his income. He needed to show he had a safe place for the children to live. He needed medical records, background checks, and character references. Every night he came back to the ship exhausted, but Ensola were always waiting for him. They had dinner ready, usually something simple like rice and vegetables. They had cleaned the ship until it was spotless. They had done everything they could to help. "You do not have to do all this," Wu told them one evening. "You are children, you should be playing and resting." "We want to help," said. "You work so hard for us. This is the only way we can say thank you." Wu looked at these two little girls. They were so young, but they had already learned to take care of themselves. They had grown up too fast, just like he had. They understood hard work and sacrifice in ways that children should not have to understand. "Okay," he said softly. "We are a team, we help each other." Sola smiled. "A team, I like that." On day 25, Wu got the character references he needed. The station's doctor wrote a letter saying Wu was honest, and the owner of a parts shop said Wu was reliable and trustworthy. Even one of the security officers, a different one from before, wrote that Wu had never caused any trouble on the station. On day 27, Wu found a small apartment on the residential level of the station. It was not much, just 2 rooms and a tiny kitchen, but it was stable. It was a real home. It was enough. On day 29, they went to the station's administrative center for the custody hearing. The hearing room was cold and gray. A panel of 3 judges sat behind a high desk. Wu stood before them with Ensola on either side of him. "This is the case of custody petition for the minor children Ensola by the human Wu," the head judge announced. "The petitioner seeks permanent legal guardianship. Is that correct?" "Yes," Wu said. The judge looked through a stack of documents. "You are a mechanic. Your income is modest. You have no experience raising children. You are not even the same species as the children in question." He looked up at Wu with cold eyes. "Why should this court grant you custody?" Wu had prepared a speech. He had written it down and memorized every word. But now, standing in this room with everyone staring at him, the words seemed wrong. They seemed empty. So he threw away the speech and spoke from his heart. "1 month ago, I heard a ship engine dying. I went to investigate because that is what I do. I fix things. I found 2 little girls crying beside their dying grandmother. They had no food. They had no money. Their ship was broken and no one would help them." He paused and looked down at the twins. They were looking up at him with wide eyes. "I fixed their ship because it was the right thing to do. I stayed because they needed me. Their grandmother asked me to protect them, and I promised I would. That promise is the most important promise I have ever made." He turned back to the judges. "You are right. I am not rich. I am not powerful. I am just a human mechanic. But I love these girls. I have spent every day of the past month working to give them a future. I will spend every day for the rest of my life doing the same." "Love is not enough," one of the other judges said. "Children need stability. They need resources. They need someone who will not leave," Wu interrupted. "Their father abandoned them. They rejected them. Every person they have ever trusted has either died or left. They need someone who will stay. I will stay. No matter how hard it gets. No matter what happens, I will stay." The room was silent. The judges looked at each other. Then a small voice spoke up. It was Sola. "Please let us stay with Wu," she said. Her voice was shaking, but she did not stop. "He tells us stories every night. He makes sure we eat before he does. He works so hard for us. He is the kindest person we have ever met." Stepped forward too. "Our grandmother trusted him with our lives. She knew she was dying and she chose him. She was the person we knew. If she trusted him, then we trust him too." She looked at the judges with determination in her young eyes. "We do not want a rich home. We do not want a powerful guardian. We just want Wu. He is our family now. Please do not take him away from us." The head judge studied the three of them for a long moment. Then he whispered something to the other judges. They talked quietly for several minutes. Finally, the head judge spoke. "This court has reviewed the evidence. The petitioner has demonstrated stable employment, appropriate housing, and genuine care for the children. More importantly, the children themselves have expressed a clear desire to remain with him." He stamped a document with an official seal. Custody petition approved. The human Wu is hereby granted full legal guardianship of the minor children and Sola. This decision is final and binding. Wu felt his knees go weak. He could not believe it. After all the work, all the stress, all the sleepless nights, it was finally over. The girls were officially his. And Sola threw themselves at him. They were crying and laughing at the same time. Wu hugged them tightly, his own tears falling onto their silver hair. "We are a family now," Sola said through her tears. "A real family." "Yes," Wu whispered, "a real family." They walked out of the administrative center together. The station looked different somehow. Brighter, more hopeful, like the whole universe had shifted just a little bit. As they walked toward their new apartment, looked up at Wu. "When you first came to our ship," she said, "I asked you why you were helping us. You said it was because it was the right thing to do, but now I think there was another reason." "What reason?" Wu asked. Smiled. "I think you needed us just as much as we needed you." Wu thought about his life before that night, the loneliness, the emptiness, the feeling that he was just surviving, not living. He had told himself he was fine alone, but he had been lying to himself. "Maybe you are right," he admitted. "Maybe I was looking for a family too, I just did not know it." Sola took his hand and squeezed it. "Well, you found one, and we are never letting you go." They reached their apartment. It was small and simple, but it was theirs. They walked inside together, and Wu closed the door behind them. Outside, the stars continued to burn. Ships flew through the darkness. The galaxy kept spinning, full of cold and cruelty and indifference. But inside this tiny apartment there was warmth, there was love, there was family. A human mechanic and two alien girls, different species, different backgrounds, different worlds, but somehow they fit together perfectly. Some people say that family is about blood, that family is about species, that family is about where you come from. But those people are wrong. Family is about who stays. Family is about who shows up when things are hard. Family is about who loves you without asking for anything in return. By that definition, Wu and Sola were the family in the entire galaxy. And they were just getting started.